Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is myself, that was awkward, Chris Chase here, and it is so great to re-welcome you to another edition of the Today's Teens podcast, an inside look on the backgrounds of the Today's Teens Conference, which is taking place February 22nd, 2025 at Bramley Baptist Church. And I have with me another one of our keynote speakers. And see, the thing about this podcast that I get to do is I get to hang out with very cool people. You might be like Chris, you're living a life of affluence and excitement. And I would say to you, yes, it's true. Because I get to hang out with the best of the best of the best before you do. Because you're going to meet them at today's Teens Conference on February 22nd, 2025. Make sure to register at todaysteens.ca. But I get to give you a preview of some of the guests that you're going to see, including our guest today. Our guest is a coach. Our guest is a teacher. Our guest is an author. Our guest is the CEO, President, Prime Minister of Inspire Our Nation. I'm just giving you titles now at this point. I'm just giving them to you. You just take them. Just hold on.
He's coming up with some good stuff here.
Yeah, I am. Why not? Why not? My friends, it is my privilege to welcome Kaitlyn Cey to the Today's Teens podcast. Give it up for Kaitlyn, everybody. Let's go. Kaitlyn, thank you so much for being here with me. How are you doing today, my friend?
Doing really well. I'm excited to be here. Me, myself as well. I liked that. I, myself, all these terms. Yeah.
Yes, there you go. Yeah,
to be here with you today.
Yeah, normally I try to write out an intro and I had it written down and I just kind of stumbled on a word. And so you just got to roll with it.
Absolutely.
You just got to roll with it. You just got to kind of live with it and sort of just, let it happen as it is. If the train is out the station, it is on the rails. You just got to continue with it. Kaitlyn, my first question for you is this, just kind of doing a little bit of background research on you. You started out as a teacher, correct?
That's right. Yeah. So my background is teaching and pastoring. That's right.
So how does one, I think that every pastor kind of moonlights himself as a teacher, right? Except there's no grades, there's no grading papers, there's no that sort of thing. There's it's a different sort of movement. But you were doing pastoring and teaching at the same time. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Can you walk me through a little bit of that schedule of what that's like? Because that's Monday to Friday in a classroom. And then on top of that, it's then dodgeball. Well, I guess maybe teaching could do dodgeball too, but then it's dodgeball and pizza parties and sermons and retreats. Walk me through a little bit of that process.
Yeah. It has been just like an incredible journey with God, I would say, just following his direction and his guidance. After high school, I did some education at Briarcrest College and Seminary and did some Bible college classes, and I loved it. And I felt such a strong call to ministry actually at that time. And I kind of held that. I did a few years at Briarcrest and then I went to the University of Saskatchewan and actually did an education degree. I've also always had a heart just to teach and really to see people grow and to keep growing myself. And so that was incredible. And then I came into this season of having roles teaching and pastoring. And that can all sound shiny, but the truth is, Chris, it was a pretty messy journey. And something that God has been working out in me over the last many years has just been this journey of coming into my own identity and knowing my self-worth and my value. And actually, interestingly, even though these roles of teaching and pastoring sound, oh, wow, you must have been so busy doing such important work. The way that the Lord positioned me in that season was actually to be able to hold roles loosely and to learn, what it is not to strive, because the truth is it would be like, oh, I'm just getting going in this area and I just need to move over to this area. And that was kind of this constant thing. But the practice of that, it really did make me sort of feel like I'm not completely important in either realm. I'm in, I'm out. And anyways, it was just this powerful time of growing in my identity in Christ. And also, I believe God was positioning me for what he had to come with Inspire Our Nation as well.
So let's talk about Inspire Our Nation, because there's many people who try or hope to, try is the wrong word, but who would hope to create something that is long lasting and that impacts no pun intended, nations, right? Like
Yeah.
many people have gone to camps or conventions or retreats and they've heard the words spoken over them. You are going to be a world changer, right? I had a friend of mine who would say the danger with that is that some people actually believe that, right?
Right.
You actually are part of an organization that you founded and run that actually impacts nations. Like it's
Right.
not just something that you say, it's something that you is.
Hmm.
Pardon the bad grammar on that, but to kind of like show the depth of it. Like it's something that you is, something that you are.
Hmm.
Can you walk us through a little bit of how you go from pastoring and teaching at the same time, education background, religious background, to then have sense, I'll use this word, a call, a burden to create something that would inspire students to overcome struggles. I love the word you use about finding identity, to reclaim their identity in Christ and then go out and then be impactful people in society for Jesus. Can you walk us through a little bit about how that
Yeah.
sort of happened?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what it's all about, is reclaiming that identity. And I do think that all of us have a call. I love that you use that word, and I think it often has to do with our own life experiences and the things that
Hmm.
we feel passionate about in the world. And I think for all of us to just pay attention to that, what is it for you that kind of burns in your heart? And for me personally, as I said, I had kind of had these experiences of God rooting me more deeply in my identity. When I first started teaching, actually, I got my first job, and then I was so sick. I had been sick with an undiagnosed illness for about 7.5 years, and I had just come to a point where I could
Hmm.
hardly walk down the street. And at that time, I felt so worthless, Chris, like so worthless. And I just felt like, for a person who had put a lot of her worth and identity in the things that she could do over the years for God, my goodness, I didn't know I could feel so empty. And it was during that season that God met me so profoundly. And I learned what it is to just rest in being a daughter of the King. And like, oh, night and day. I had been a Christian my whole life, but there was just this remarkable revelation for me. And it was life
Hmm.
changing. And so, that passion really fueled and continues to fuel my passion for the youth of Inspire Our Nation, and the youth that these youth are now impacting, because I have been impacted in this way. And I think that's important as we think about our calling for all of us, and what we might want to start or do or make a difference. Where is that genuine passion for you? And if you're still looking for that, that's okay too. Sometimes
Yeah.
that takes some time, but that was a big part of what drove me forward. I guess I would say the other big thing is that God really gave some pretty specific instruction in this case in my life. And God doesn't always do that. Sometimes it's kind of freedom, choose this or this, and
Right.
then sometimes there's just some really direct instruction that He gives in different ways. But for me, at the very beginning, bit by bit, He would just kind of shine His light on that next step He was asking me to do. And I began kind of hearing His voice like I had never heard it in my life. And it just became very apparent that this was something He wanted to birth. So I can't take any
Wow.
credit. It's just, taking that one next right step.
Okay. So we have this rule on this show. We have this rule on this podcast. And I didn't tell this to you earlier because
Yeah.
I figured that I would have to tell you halfway through.
Yeah.
We do not allow for any self-deprecation on the show. We don't
Okay.
allow for it. We don't allow for anyone to say, it wasn't me. We don't allow for that. We give flowers on this podcast.
Oh,
So my friend, who I've just met today,
yeah.
let it be known that while the Lord birthed it in you, it came out of who you are.
Oh,
So it's
cool.
okay to be like, you know what? Yeah, I kind of did that. It's okay.
Cool.
Let me speak that into you. It's okay.
Amen.
So there is no sort of like, there's no sheepishness. There's
Got
a
it.
fine line between confident and cocky, and we
Yeah.
walk that fine line, that we walk that tightrope as best as possible. Our two rules are there's no promotion of other companies unless they sponsor us. So we don't say like, we say burger joints. We say milkshake joints. We don't give
Sure.
names to anything because there's no promo. There's no free promo, and there's
Yeah.
no self-deprecation, and there's no sort of talking down. So
Right.
flowers are yours.
Flowers.
Are yours.
Okay. I'm going to
Okay?
expect those
There
at
you
my
go.
door after this podcast, by the way.
Well, let's not go that far. We have a very tight budget. We have a very tight budget on the show. You mentioned something that you mentioned recognizing that it wasn't just you're more than the work that you did. You're more than the work that you're producing, whether as pastor or a teacher.
Yeah.
And that you had to be reminded that you were a daughter of the King. And I would imagine that there are, we're talking about youth pastors and youth leaders, youth workers preparing to attend today's teens in a couple of days. And there would be many who are just bogged down by the idea that they are their work, whether it's something that's innate within them, whether it's something that has been spoken over them by a boss, by a lead pastor or a board, by parents, by students, by their own insecurity.
Yeah.
What would you say to the one who is like, I forget quite often that I'm a son or daughter of the King? Like, what would be an encouragement that you give to them? Because I know different stages of my life where I have found my worth in what I do, in where I'm invited, in what conversations I've been invited to, in what tables I've been invited around, and I've found my discouragement when the work isn't going well, when the invitations aren't there, when the tables are,
Sure.
To quote from Forrest Gump, this seat here is taken, like you're not allowed to sit there, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So what would you say to the one who's like, who forgets that they are sons and daughters before they are pastor or reverend or so forth?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think I would say you're in good company, because I think there are so many things about our culture and our society that kind of send this message that your value is tied to what you do and what you produce in the world. So this isn't, a rare thing. I think this is a really common thing. So first of all, you're in good company. Second, I think I would just say that the good news is, as many times as you forget it, and we all do as part of being human, it doesn't change the truth of it. It doesn't even touch the truth of it. So, I mean, you can forget it over and over and over, and just need to continually remind yourself the truth that you stand on is unchanging as you kind of fluctuate up and down in the successes and the failures of life that we're all going to have. This is God's truth. And you can stand so firm on it. And I think the more that we just remember that, that's so freeing. His truth is always there to just step back onto it. Notice those thoughts and step back onto the true thought and practice that, and just keep doing it.
You are going to be flying in from Saskatchewan to Ontario, to Toronto, to the mecca of culture and all this sort of stuff. I'm a fan of Toronto. I love our city.
Beautiful.
And that's, you're giving up a Saturday. You're giving up a couple of days, right? You're not just kind of parachuting. You're giving up a couple of days. And we thank you for that, and for you to come and be our keynote speaker and do a couple of seminars, be around and hang out with youth leaders, youth workers. What's the motivation? Because, you're busy. We'll talk a little bit later about, some of the conferences that you're doing and other work that you're doing, but you're busy. Like, I want to acknowledge that, like, you're sort of like, hey, listen, I got free weekends for days. Like, just come, like, when, like, there's things that you have planned along with your own life. What, if I can ask this in a cheeky way, like, what inspires you? No pun intended, inspire a nation, right? I get it, right?
Yeah.
What inspires you to say, like, I want to spend a Saturday pouring into youth leaders, pouring into youth workers, pouring into student leaders, to dedicate a portion of my time to ensure that these leaders leave inspired to continue on to do the mission of God?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, first of all, I love conferences. I love the gathering of God's people. I think it's so powerful. People have been praying over this conference, this gathering, for every attendee. Like, who wouldn't want to be there? I just think that these gatherings that are so intentional, and I know that this has been intentional. I've been so thankful to meet some of the team and the organizers. And so I just know it's going to be incredible. I really believe that God is doing a mighty work among the next generation from coast to coast in Canada. And Chris, I don't want to miss it. I want to,
Like
hear the
that.
conversations, whether I can fly to Toronto or whether I'm like just paying attention to the podcasts and, to the different um, organizations that are effectively networking Canadian youth leaders, those who are leading the next generation and equipping them. It's so exciting to me, and I'm excited to learn from others and to meet people who are passionate about the same things that I am, and there's going to be youth there too. So I'm excited to meet them too.
Something I love this. I don't want to miss it. Right.
Yeah,
Something about being around other leaders is invigorating. Right. When we have
yeah,
that desire to learn, and you mentioned going to University of Saskatchewan, University of
you
Saskatchewan,
you got it.
right, and then going to Briarcrest. Like there, you have in you a innate sense like wanting to learn, right? And there's something invigorating about being around other learners and other journey people who have been in this for a long period of time. How does an event like a today's teams invigorate you to continue on in what you do for your work?
It's so true that we need each other. And this is foundational to the Inspire program that I lead right now. And it's also, I think any youth ministry, we know that youth need connections with loving adults who are spurring them on, and so do we. It's because God has wired us for relationship. And so there is something so incredible that happens when we are in the midst of people who can spur us on and tell their stories. We absolutely need each other. Another thing I'm so passionate about is mentorship, because I have seen the difference that it has made in my life when someone has looked at me and seen something in me that I have not seen yet. Again, God's designed us to be interdependent and to need each other. And so there's this aspect of mentorship that I've benefited throughout my life from, where I'm sitting across from someone and having coffee, and that's so incredible. But there's also this aspect of mentorship of reading books and watching, people as they express their messages, and just staying connected to different people who are leading in this sphere. And that has been really powerful too. There's so much to learn from people who are just out ahead, trying new things, being innovative. We need that as we head into, kind of an unknown future. So the gathering together, the mentorship, the growing together, I think it's so powerful.
Can we spend a little bit of time talking about Inspire Nation a bit more?
Sure.
Because you mentioned like the value of mentorship, and you speak about young people and their need
Yeah.
and coaching. And Instagram tells a story, right? So you're able to kind of see a little bit of groupings that you've been able to sort of bring together and learn and grow, but it only tells a picture of a story, right? And a picture and a caption, you know what I mean? Like can you walk me through a little bit, and those who are watching or listening, a little bit of some stories where you've seen like this works, and you're seeing stories of like, we got this kid and they were here and now they're going light years beyond what I can even do. Can you walk us through a little bit of that?
Yeah. Yeah. I hate to sound simplistic, but at the heart of it all,
Stop.
okay,
Stop.
you're right. It's not
We've already
simplistic.
made the rule,
Yeah.
and you're not
Right.
saying I hate the sound. You're not allowed doing that.
Okay.
Kaitlyn, we've talked about this. That's strike two. That's strike
Okay.
two.
Okay. Good. Very good. Yeah. We have talked about this.
We
Um,
have.
Chris, the power of relationship is absolutely incredible. Creating spaces where students and adults can be themselves, can be seen and be known, where there's lots of storytelling and testimony and prayer. I think those authentic spaces are so powerful. So at Inspire, we highly value bringing together different, diverse people groups for the good of everybody. And so we do engage our students from First Nations communities, and we're so thankful for them and all that they bring to our program. We run a leadership program throughout the year in Saskatchewan and in Winnipeg. They're two separate programs, but we have students and they get high school credit, and then they've got a mentor. And so it's just all about, creating these safe spaces for humans to come out of their shell and just be who God created them to be. And those mentors, having those caring adults there and present and committed, has been remarkably powerful. Not just for 1 year, but for multi years, and to continue to
Hmm.
be there and to stay. But then also just watching these different groups of students. We also engage students from a variety of different racial backgrounds, and seeing them bring their unique strengths and the way that they see the world, and the way that they might exercise spirituality and their faith, and sharing these things openly, and growing in pride in those things that maybe at one time they were maybe even ashamed of for different
Wow.
reasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that really is key to seeing students rise and to bring transformation. We cannot do it without this aspect of community and love. It's certainly not something that we can do on our own.
You mentioned, diverse thought, diverse students. How do you how would you encourage a pastor to kind of keep their eye out for that? And diversity goes beyond just what someone looks like. You can have somebody. You can be in a culture that is monochromatic across the board, and yet there's diverse stories, diverse experiences, diverse personalities in terms of connecting with God and connecting with others. How would you encourage a youth pastor or youth leader, youth worker to foster a community around themselves that helps to grow within diversity, to help learn within diversity, if that makes any sense?
Absolutely. I think definitely having that diverse leadership team around you is really key, and not to, shy away from that or be fearful of people who think differently than you, or,
Mm.
might bring different things to the table. But another thing, there's a scripture that says the value of knowing your sheep. And I just think, like, know your people, and maybe even go above and beyond to know your people, whether that's through surveys, or kind of intake forms that you can do with students, because there are things that they might think that they might not say, but that they would write. But really going to great lengths to pull out what is unique about students, and especially students that might be in minority groups and might be slower to embrace those things, kind of go above and beyond in those cases, and then create opportunity for those beautiful aspects of uniqueness to be shared, and to be enjoyed by everybody, and create those chances for them.
You use the word beautiful a number of times, and I think that's incredible.
Mm.
I just like that. That makes my heart sort of go like a kind of like his heart grew three sizes that day, like legitimately, to see the beauty in the image of God in each person is something that I don't think we do enough. Just collectively,
Mhm.
we end up seeing one another's projects, people to be saved as opposed to people to be loved,
Yeah.
and when we only see people as projects, we don't see the beauty in their diversity. We don't see the beauty in their story. We don't see the beauty even in their pain. We just sort of see them as get them in, get them saved, and then let God figure it out.
Yeah.
But when we see them as people, we're actually able to create this space where they feel accepted at the table. And, you hear stories of people who are like, I don't know when I got saved. I just woke up and I was. Like, there wasn't this necessarily this moment of like, I gave my life to Jesus on this day or this day. They were just a part of this family of people. And then one day they just realized that the things that they were doing, they didn't want to do anymore. They wanted to do something different because the
Yeah.
Spirit was doing work in them. And so to be able to see the beauty in people, Kaitlyn, is so encouraging and so commendable
Mm.
that you would put yourself in the forefront of that, and then have a platform to be able to inspire the rest of us to do the same,
Mm.
who often see people as numbers, who often see people as butts in the pew. And yes, I said the word butts. You can, Misha, you can beep that word out after. We don't see people as people, and so thank you for even this morning reminding me that my neighbor is not a project. My neighbor is a person. That
Yeah.
the kids in my kids' schools, they're not projects for my kids to save. They're people who are friends
Yeah.
of my children. And so
Yeah.
thank you so much for that. Like,
Yeah.
that's a
And
healthy reminder.
yeah, and can I just add to that? I don't think anybody ever, sets out to see people as numbers or to, oh, it's all about growing this big thing. Nobody sets out with that mentality. But I
Mm,
would just say something that has been so important for me in my journey and continues to be is the practice of Sabbath, actually. This day, like of a week, or maybe it's, time period or whatever, but to stop doing and to be, God
mm,
created us to do that in rhythms so that we can engage with people from a place of being and value them from a place of being and see their worth. But truly, we get blind to it if we get on a treadmill of doing, which I think happens to a lot of leaders. You get on a treadmill of doing, there's so much to do, and you have good motives, and next thing the heart of it all has grown cold, and exhaustion sets in, and it's hard to, compassion fatigue is a real thing, and it's hard to really see the beauty in people. And I've been there, but I just find that God's given us this beautiful practice of slowing down and of being.
there's somebody who's watching this today, or again, they're watching clips, because the algorithm sort of put this in their way. And they are going, great conversation, but I'm not going to this event. Great conversation. I agree with you, Caitlin. That's great. I'm going to inspire my nation, but I'm not. I. What would you say to that youth pastor, youth leader who, with a couple of days to spare, is like, I ain't got the money, I ain't got the time, or maybe the topics aren't my liking. I wish we were talking more about this, what's happening in society, and not this. What would you say to that youth pastor today?
I'm going to be honest. I used to be skeptical about big events. I used to think, man, that's a
That's
lot of
fair.
resource. That's a lot of resource for just one day, a bunch of people come together. And now I plan large events often with teams that are amazing, and I so believe in them. And truly, I would just say, if you can make it happen, if you can get there, please get there, because you're worth it. You're worth the resources. You're worth the time. You are worth taking the break. You need to be equipped and strengthened in order to continue to be effective, equipping and strengthening the people that God is calling you to lead. And I just believe, I know that this gathering is being faithfully prayed over by intercessors who are, every attendee, every person who comes through the door, we're praying for freedom and breakthrough and ideas and connection and strengthening of the soul. And so I just would so say, if you can at all, if you have to move some things around, I believe that you will find it worth it, and make it happen.
No, Caitlin, I'm so thankful that we were able to hang out. Like, this is, I hope this has been encouraging for you. If it haven't, you can't get your time back. It's already gone.
Right. It's done. So here.
It's gone.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
know for me, I've greatly enjoyed this, and I know that those who will watch this will be inspired. And I don't want to use inspired as a pun, but I really do mean that. Like, they will be invigorated. Let's use
Right.
that word, invigorated, to go and do more and to continue on in the good fight and to continue to serve the Lord with devotion and serve their students and their churches with a willingness to go the extra mile. So thank you so much for speaking to us. A couple of
Yeah.
things for you though before I let you go into your day.
Yeah.
Where can people find you?
Okay. I
And
can I
what's like? Yes, no,
Can I
jump. You
say
jump
one
in.
more thing?
Jump.
I just gotta. The other thing that I am super excited for about this event is that there are multiple denominations that are going to be represented at this event, and these are especially powerful. I know we've got these different denominational gatherings, which are very important. I'm all about that. You got to do like the small family gatherings, but then you got to do the large family gatherings. And here's why I'm so passionate about it. There's lots of reasons, but we have in common Jesus Christ and this common
Mm.
mission and this common belief. And God is leading many different denominations forward in a certain way at such a time as this. And I really do believe that when people gather at gatherings like this, we get in touch with what God is doing at a larger level. And we want to be in touch with that as we lead in our places, wherever that may be. So I really think that that's another very powerful thing and unique about this gathering.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And spending more time talking about what we have in common and what we can
Right.
learn from each other, as opposed to arguing over the things that we find different.
Yeah.
Like
Amen.
we can spend both of us, all of us, spend an entire day online on Facebook or wherever else. It's just arguing over the differences between like how we see small important things,
Yeah.
as opposed to going like, what you're doing there is working. How are you doing it?
Yes.
And more importantly, how are you doing? Because here's how I'm doing. And there's way more we have in common. There's way more good than we have that we can spend our time building on than talking about the things that are inherently different because of decisions that were made thousands of hundreds of years ago.
Yeah.
So I love that you said that. I love
Yeah.
that you said that.
Yeah.
And to be able for us to like, have it go in there with a posture of learning and connecting, and that makes an event like today's teens all the more exciting, all the more invigorating, because you're like, I'm coming in there not with the posture of I'm not going to listen to that speaker because they look or sound like, but I'm going to grab all of the information I can and then distill that through my own learning and go at it from there in order to serve and care for the people under my leadership. Like that's
It's good.
That's why we let you cook, Kaitlyn. That's why we let you cook. You come on the podcast, you go out there, you come out here, and you just go in and you talk that talk, and it's awesome. Okay, so with that being said, to that point, where can people find you? Like, and talk a little bit about what's going on, because you have an upcoming conference that's coming up March 14th, 15th in Saskatoon.
That's right.
In Saskatchewan, or Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. You have an April 11th and 12th in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Talk to us a little bit about that and then where people can find you.
You bet. Well, most of my time you will find me with my people at Inspire Nation. Absolutely love my students and the mentor teams and the volunteer teams. So these students have been working towards these conferences since the beginning of the year. Just planning things out, learning more about their giftedness and how they could plug into the conference. So every single one of them has a role, and they're super excited to host their provinces. So in Saskatoon, happening March 14th and 15th, in Saskatoon is our conference. We've got Danielle Strickland joining us as our keynote speaker, and all kinds of games and prizes and speakers and breakouts and all sorts of things. And it's a $5 cost. So this is for students, but it's also for parents, leaders, caregivers, youth pastors. And we love when the leaders come together with the students, and also just people in the community, who are looking to be inspired. So that Inspire Conference happening in March. And then in Winnipeg is April 11th and 12th. And so we've got our leadership students working hard there too. I think that's going to be an incredible event. We've got Sean Naylor joining us as our keynote there, and he's one energetic guy. So we're looking forward to having him.
Yes. Energetic is one word to describe Sean.
Yes.
Easily.
Absolutely.
Easily.
Very
like
entertaining.
One word to describe him. Yeah, he's a good friend, a good man.
Good deal.
And then where can people find you directly? Like if they want to follow you, if they want to connect with you, where would they find you that way?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram at Kaitlyn Cey. I'm also on Instagram as Stand Secure. That's where I share a lot of kind of my ministry material. I've also got some material on Right Now Media. I've got a few different Bible studies for girls as well as emerging leaders. Yeah, I'm on Facebook too. I know people say Facebook is over, but I'm still about it. So people can find me there as well, or on my website, KaitlynCey.com.
You might be the thing that keeps Facebook alive.
Let's keep it going, right? Are you?
Yeah, and that could be like somebody can like that could be taken on different ways. Some would be like, "How dare you?" Some would be like, "Yes, please." Yeah. I just said the statement. Just put your hateful or encouraging thoughts in the comments, and we just won't read them.
There's still people hanging out on Facebook. I know my students tell me that it is like in the Stone Age, but I'm still about it.
Yeah, if you're a millennial like us, it's still
Still in. It's still in.
it's
If you're
still
not
in.
there, you're not cool.
That's gonna be the statement for this part. If you're not there, you're not cool.
Yeah.
Including, and watch how I do this, including today's team, which takes place February 22nd,
Yes.
2025. If you're
That's right.
not there, you're not cool.
I like it.
Kaitlyn, thank you so much for making time for the podcast. Really do appreciate it. And blessings on you as you get ready to pour into us. May you already experience that being poured back into your life as you then prepare a few short weeks later to lead two conferences back to back along with your own work. So may this just be a cool drink of water as you prepare for the next things that you have to do. So we're so appreciative of your ministry and what you're going to be bringing to us for sure.
Thank you. I can't wait to be with you guys. I hope that you all make the time and space. It's going to be a really incredible event.
It is, friends. Reminder: today's teens.ca. There's still time for you to register for the event that's taking place February 22nd, 2025 at Bramley Baptist Church. Make sure to be there. Or, as I say on all of our episodes, if you're not there, you're an op. I'm going to take it personally. I'm going to say if you're not there, it's because of me, and I'm not going to stand. I'm not going to stand for it. So be there. Or, as our guest said, you're not cool. Yeah. Just saying. Friends, it's been great to hang out with you. My name is Chris Chase. Thank you very much to our producer, Misha Watson, for doing all things behind the scenes, and to our guest, Kaitlyn Cey. We are going to see you another time at the next podcast.